betting weekly. Because we win, that is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bad, don't give us your stink eye. Try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show, bet with the sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Good day, everyone. We're back for some more Champions League previews here on Betting Weekly Live. Here with Steve Wyss and professional gambler Will White. Great and absolute pleasure to have you on board again, Mr. White. How are you doing?
Good day to you, Steve, and good day to all the viewers out there. I'm doing well, thanks. Got a bit of a cold, but raring to go with some Champions League analysis.
Baki Salia, welcome in. How are you doing, Steve? I'm doing all right, thank you very much, Baki. Good to see you here. Duncan Evans says he hopes the tips are better than the intro music. Each to their own, Duncan. But how was your Tuesday in the Champions League, Will? Were you up? Were you down? Good night or
not? Yeah, I was betting. I had a pretty good day. I remember last time we won, I'd had a terrible day the prior day. Can't remember what the bad beat was. There's always bad beats, but I tend to forget what's happened in the past and move on with the current day's cards. So I can't actually remember what I bet yesterday, but I did have a good day.
That's good to hear. We've got the whole Champions League card to go through. Full bunch of games. Got two of the early kickoffs, and that's where we're going to start. This is 12:45 Eastern. We've got Shakhtar Donetsk against Atalanta and Girona against Feyenoord. Shakhtar against Atalanta. This is actually a match which is featuring Shakhtar now plus 475. So there's been a big drift on them since this graphic was produced earlier in the day. Atalanta now minus 165 favourites. Been a bit of money towards the over 2.5 as well at minus 129 here for this game. It's going to be played on neutral territory in Germany at the Veltins Arena in Gelsenkirchen, in the Arena auf Schalke. The closest that Schalke fans are going to get to see Champions League football for quite some time, I would say. Sorry, Schalke fans. This used to be a mainstay, actually, didn't it? They always were in the Champions League year on year. Shakhtar are a sort of team who I don't normally get involved in. Atalanta, James Easton described them as just really, really hard to predict on a recent show. Are you in that sort of camp? Do you get a good read on Atalanta, Will?
I feel like I've got a decent read on Atalanta, but definitely not on Shakhtar. I feel like every time I downgrade the Ukrainian league, I need to downgrade it again because the sharp players out there generally are very low on Shakhtar. So yeah, they're a team that I find hard to call. If anything, I normally tend to be on them rather than against them because I think that essentially the Ukrainian league's been downgraded enough already. But very, very tough game to call this one. I found it very hard to find a bet.
I do have actually a pick for this game. It's a small bet, but I like the Atalanta corners market, over 5.5 corners. And I'll tell you why. This is at minus 120. If you look at some of their corner stats this season, it's really quite impressive how dominant they've been territorially. They haven't always converted it into goals, though. And I think teams that don't finish their chances are actually good corner teams sometimes, Will, because the goalkeeper is pushing around for saves. You're getting block shots that go in behind. And I think, really, I don't know what the result's going to be, but I think the pattern of play is going to be pretty much Atalanta domination. And I was looking at this game and part of me was thinking this should be a blowout away win, really. I think they are a better side than Shakhtar, but I have trouble with Ukrainian teams. As I've said before, I don't really like to get involved with the money line and the over-under markets, but the corners did stand out. So I just need 6 Atalanta corners here at minus 120. For those who want to be even more aggressive, you could get over 6.5 Atalanta corners at plus 140. Tough one. I mean, sometimes these Ukrainian teams can be a pleasant surprise. And let's see. Eric Hayes says, lights out yesterday. Yeah, it was a good show. Stuttgart did let us all down. I did like that over. You're going to tell me you were on the under in that game now, Will. It felt like maybe one of your contrarian bets. I'm not sure. Rick Haley, welcome in Rafa. Welcome, Harry. Duncan says, well done on Montreal. over the weekend, Will. That was your best
Yeah,
bet of the
good one.
weekend. Congrats on that. Steve Gregory, I think he put this on yesterday's show as well. Couldn't pass on Shakhtar team total over 1.5 at plus 275, the way Atalanta are shipping goals. I mean, they did concede 3 goals at home to Como recently, so I can get that angle if Shakhtar are on a tear. And they're sort of the team that can play well in periods of a game. Like they have like a 10 or 15 minute warm period where they go red hot. Maybe that could be something. J-Rod, do you like Bayern? Both teams scoring over 2.5. We'll come to that match in a minute. But yeah, tricky game on the money line on the over-unders. I do like the corners there for Atalanta over 5.5. We're going to move on to the next game, Girona against Feyenoord. What has happened to Girona, Will? I asked this to Ruri Barlow last week because their goals seem to have dried up. Their matches seem to have become much more tight and enclosed. Minus 109 on the money line now, at the time of recording. There has been a bit of money on the overs today, minus 155 now for over 2.5. But I'm actually thinking the opposite. Feyenoord are missing some players to injury. Jimenez is ruled out, and so is Caleb Stengs. They haven't looked great this season. But Girona, I mean, you probably know a little bit more about Girona than me. Have they just suddenly changed, or can they not score? What's going on?
I think we've got 2 teams here that are really going through a bit of a transitional period. They both lost a lot of players over the summer. Michel, the Girona manager, has said that he's trying to implement the same style of play, but they're just not there yet. They lost Savinho and they lost Dovbyk and Alex Garcia, 3 very, very big players for them. They did replace them, but not with players that have the proven quality that those 3 did. And so I think they're currently just lacking a bit of fluidity, and it really is showing up in the underlying data. Their total goal expectancy per 94 and against combined has dropped this season to 2.35 average. That's from 3.13 last season. So, you know, on the surface, it looks like they've gone from being an overs team to an unders team this season. On the other side, you've got Feyenoord, who are almost certainly an overs team, but missing Santiago Jimenez. So it's another game that, for me, it's hard to find an angle in. And on the main markets, I think they're priced quite correctly. My model is showing quite a bit of value on Girona, but I just don't trust them. For whatever reason, I don't trust them here. And it's debatable whether they'll even go full strength, because away a couple of weeks ago at PSG, they started Christian Stuani for the first time this season, first time for a long while, actually. So I'm not really sure where their priorities lie. Because it's so close to the international break, they probably will go full strength, but I'm not sure on that. I do have a few bets, a few leans, and 1 bet, but on alternative markets. So what's your take on the game, Steve? You're saying you lean unders, do you?
Yeah, I actually know someone who took under 3 goals at the weekend here at even money, and it's now minus 137 with Bet Rivers. So I think that's he's got decent line value there. Yeah. Girona at minus 109. Part of me quite like that, because I'm not sure about this Feyenoord team this season. Are they even the second best team in Holland now? I mean, I'm not sure about that. I mean, they've got to be dropped off from last season, surely. Yeah. And especially if you include the 2 key injuries that they've got here. So if Girona can find something, they just look a bit tired to me, Girona. They're struggling with the schedule. They're playing constantly midweek, the weekend for the last, since the international break. Yeah. And that's another thing. I think both teams might be lacking a bit of energy here. And I think if you offered them both a point right now, they might just take it. Maybe. Certainly Feyenoord, I think, would. So tricky one.
Sixth game in 18 days for Girona. I mean, that's a lot. And they've got a relatively small squad. So yeah.
What's your leans then? What you got leans in this?
So we're into the shots on target market. There are a few that I had a look at. Arnon Danjuma, he's unlikely to start, but given his stats, he shouldn't be minus 135. Given he averages 1.25 shots per 90 over his club career. If he doesn't start, you get your stake back. So it's a little bit of a free roll on him starting there, or not a free roll in the true definition of free roll, but I think he should be shorter than that if he were to start. Viktor Tijankov is also interesting at minus 107. He averages 0.84 shots on target per 90. Another that stood out to me, he's probably 50-50 to start here because Romeo's out injured, but Donny van der Beek, his shots on target stats over his career are not that bad. 0.68 per 90. And he's plus 240 to have one or more shots on target, which just stood out to me, but maybe not enough to pull the trigger. The safer bet for me is Ayase Ueda, who will be starting as a central striker for Feyenoord. Minus 141, which is a little bit short, but he averages an astronomical 1.5 shots on target per 90 at club level. And with Jimenez out, he's going to be the main man there. They're going to be looking for him to provide the goals. And I think he's much more likely than not to get a shot on target here. So that's my bet. Ayase Ueda, minus 141.
Yeah, interesting angle there on the Feyenoord starting striker. Just going through some of the comments. Under hit for Jose Gardines yesterday in the Arsenal game. Yeah, it wasn't looking good at half time, was it? No. But second half, the more it was going on, the more I was thinking, yeah, this is actually going to go under 2.5. Phil Guy says Bayern Villa over 3.5. I do agree with that. We'll be talking about that in a minute. Raya over 2.5 saves stung Steve Gregory. I mean, that's because PSG were so poor, weren't they? Really, just lacking. I've seen it before last season in Europe away from home. Sometimes I did ask Nigel yesterday, which version of PSG are we going to see, and it was not a great one. Duncan Evans, Feyenoord were awful on match day one. They were. I mean, it was a poor performance. I think they probably deserved a goal, but Leverkusen are better than Girona, though. I will say that. Moving on to the later games, and we've got a bunch of them. We're going to start with RB Leipzig against Juventus here. And there's a few people that message me claiming that I'm actually quite good at predicting RB Leipzig games. I'm like the mystic meg of them. I don't think, I'm not sure. If you're not careful, you kind of believe in that nonsense yourself a little bit. But I think it's a really intriguing, a tough game to bet on, I must say. There's a drift on Leipzig. They're plus 150 now to win. Juventus are into plus 190. Over 2.5 goals is plus money. Now, that's a bit of a surprise to me with any match involving Leipzig. But these two teams have 5 0-0 draws between them this season. So that is perhaps why there is the line is, under 2.5 goals is the favourite. From a tactical perspective, Juventus will not have come up against this system too often. But I actually quite like the Italian side. I think Leipzig will shoot themselves in the foot a bit, get impatient against a team that might sit back, be tough to break down, and Juventus can find some spaces on the break if they wait long enough. So I actually think Juventus might win this game, Will, but I don't have enough confidence to actually bet on them. And I find it quite a difficult betting heat, really. But I think from a pure prediction and tactical perspective that the match will suit Juventus. How do you see it going?
Yeah, like when I visualize the match, that's kind of how I see it as well. I haven't got a bet in the match, really. But I just think it's fascinating. Leipzig have been opposed by the Asian syndicates every single game week so far in the Bundesliga and in match day 1 of the Champions League. There's something about them that isn't clicking, and the syndicates have picked up on that. Albeit they had an impressive 4-0 win at the weekend. They lost away at Atleti, which is, nothing really too negative. But what stands out to me here is the juxtaposition between Juve 7 of 8 over 2.5 in the Champions League, Leipzig 8 of 10. But then if you look at Juve's defense this season, it's just been lights out.
1 goal conceded, 1 goal in all competitions, I think.
And 0 in Serie A.
Is that incredible?
It's unbelievable. They're so strong defensively that I did lean under 2.5 here. But that's when it was closer to even money. It's been smashed in, and I probably wouldn't back it at current prices, but it's a lean. I've kind of been forced to go into the shots on target market again. Although model wise, Leipzig, if they get to draw no bet here on the main handicap, that has to be a bet for me. But like you, when I think about how this match is most likely to plan out strategically, it will be Leipzig being frustrated, trying to press, and then perhaps Juve hitting them on the bait with the likes of Gonzalez, Vlahovic, and others. They've got some very talented players throughout the squad, as have Leipzig. But that's how I see it kind of playing out in my head.
Yeah, I do as well. Juve win to nil, says Rick Haley. I think that's not a bad shout, actually. I
Be
can
a
see
big
them
price,
sucking up a lot of pressure and then hitting them, 1-0 sort of territory. I could see Leipzig getting really frustrated here. Stuttgart were a little bit like that last night in the second half against a team. It's mad to say it that Sparta Prague defended better than what most Bundesliga teams do. The Bundesliga is such an open league. There's not that many stout defenses. They're not used to it, and Juventus will be a massive test for them in this capacity. I don't know if they've got the patience to just sort of negotiate the game, almost take the draw if they have to. I just think they'll be a bit gung-ho. Let's have a look. Some Leipzig team total was under 1.5, was minus 150 earlier in the week. Now it's minus 180. A lot of people not fancying Leipzig to score goals. They did get 4 at the weekend, but this is a completely different game. I've not got a bet to advise in this. You just a small lean on the shots on target market there. Just go back to Jason Spurlock. Ueda is minus 143 for the shot on target at Bet Rivers. Bet Rivers are offering a very good price there on the shot on target for the in the Girona game. Let's go back to the card. Liverpool Bologna. Liverpool are expected to get the business done here. Minus 715 now, by the way. Plenty of money for Liverpool. The goal line is over 3.5 goals now, plus 117. So, yeah, it seems on the day of the action that there seems to be an expectation that Liverpool win very easily. That they're actually minus money now on the -2 handicap. I do think Liverpool will win the game, but are they going to absolutely smash Bologna? I've got an interesting angle on some shots in this game, Will. But are you having that? Liverpool -2 Asian handicap, minus 125. Is that fair?
They do tend to blow teams away at home, and they were very impressive away to AC Milan, which is a much harder fixture than this one. How are Bologna going to approach this? I'm not really sure. I expect they're going to come here and try and park the bus, but that's hard to do at Anfield. And, the other way of framing it, I guess, the -2 Asian handicap line is, would you expect Liverpool to not win by 2 goals? It's hard to really imagine not winning by 2 goals. So, all things considered, it probably land right on the handicap. But initial thoughts on this game was I'm going to look into the under 3.5. But one of the things that puts me off that is we've seen so far in this competition, when teams go down early to the big boys, they kind of seem to take their foot off the pedal at the smaller teams that are behind and kind of give up on the game. And I'll be a bit nervous about that happening here. With 8 group stage games instead of 6, it does put more emphasis on kind of squad management, squad rotation, and really managing your efforts. And so that's put me off the 3.5 line. If Liverpool were -1 3/4, I'd probably back them here, but at 2, it feels about right. But I've seen a bet I really like in the shots on target market.
Go on then. Who do you like here?
Dominik Szoboszlai, plus 108. I'm not.
He had a pretty good game in Milan, if memory serves me correct.
Yeah, that's one of his few good games this season. He's really under pressure from the Liverpool fans to produce more in terms of output, offensive output, assists and goals, after some subpar domestic performances. But he averages 0.97 shots on target per 90. Liverpool are 2-goal favourites, and he's plus money here to have a shot on target. He'll play in as the most advanced of the midfield 3. That'll probably be quite advanced, given Liverpool are at home here and expected to win. So, yeah, I just really don't understand that price at all. So I'd encourage people to get on that quickly, because I can see that shortening up before game time.
I like that one. Szoboszlai, I think he had 3 shots on target in Milan. He sometimes comes alive on the bigger stage, actually.
Yeah.
And if you get a free kick from a certain position, long range, he has a crazy rate of getting them on target. And scoring from them, actually. So that would be an interesting angle there. I quite like Riccardo Orsolini for Bologna in this game to have over 1.5 shots at -106. Probably will only last 70 minutes, but I think Bologna are a little bit underrated in the shots market here. I looked at them to have over 8.5 team shots actually at plus 107. It wasn't that long ago Bournemouth had nearly 20 shots at Anfield. All right, I actually think there's probably not a lot of different. Bournemouth possibly better than Bologna even. I don't know how you actually rate that. But I don't know. Sometimes teams just come here, and I don't think Liverpool will give up particularly high XG or anything, but they sometimes do invite teams to shoot on them, don't they? So I did look at Orsolini here over 1.5 shots at -106, and also the team total shots there. But that Soboslai one does look a good pick, I must say, Will. So best of luck with that one. We move to another tasty fixture here. Lille against Real Madrid. And Real Madrid on the money line here I'm just getting the latest odds for you now, -165. So there's been a slight drift on Real Madrid since this graphic earlier. Lille now +430. So they've been nibbled in a little bit. Over 2.5 goals also. There's been some money for that, -155. I mean, I think Real Madrid, you don't bet against Real Madrid very often in Europe. It's as simple as that, really. They just find a way to get the job done. Lille have been, I think, disappointing of late is the best way to say it. But there's no pressure on them here. The team news is very important for this game, by the way, especially the status of Kylian Mbappe. You messaged me earlier and said he's probably going to be on the bench. I actually thought he was ruled out of the game. I think I got mixed up with the wrong Mbappe. Ethan Mbappe's ruled out. That's the big team news of the day. Ethan Mbappe for Lille is not going to be playing.
Love that.
Kylian Mbappe remains to be seen whether he'll be on the bench or starts. What's the angle for this game? You like Real Madrid here on the money line, right?
Right, yeah, I've got a bit of a narrative here, so stick with me on this one. I can understand the drift. Real Madrid tend to drift, well, pretty much every match really this season since Mbappe joined, and even going back to last season, they drifted in every single one of their 6 group stage games and won all 6. There was a particularly huge drift on them in the last group stage game against Union Berlin, where they didn't need to win, but they rolled out pretty much their full strength 11, won 3-2, but the underlying data was far more convincing. The drift on Madrid today, look, they were pretty fortunate to win, but certainly by 2 goals against Stuttgart in match day 1. Mbappe is likely to start from the bench. I'm pretty confident on that. And Lille are very strong at home. They've won 3 of the last 4 at home in the Champions League, only beaten by Chelsea in the last 6 at home in the Champions League. However, and this is where I flip to thinking that Madrid are too big here, I think people or the market seems to be forgetting that Lille are going to be missing 2 of their starting midfielders in Angel and Andre Gomez. That they're both missing. And I believe 17-year-old Ayoub Boadi is in line for his first Champions League start here. And boy, is it a big game for him to get that start up against the quality that Madrid are likely to roll out. What puts me off is coming off the derby, part of me is thinking that Real Madrid might be in for a bit of a letdown here. It was a big, controversial, not just game, but the aftermath has also been quite controversial, hasn't it? And so this is one where I'm literally forcing myself to bet Real Madrid here because based off the odds and the absences for Lille, they're just too big. And I'm hoping they continue to drift. I'm hoping that Mbappe gets confirmed on the bench and that they drift a bit further. And if they get to -140-ish, that's just a straight up money line bet for me. If you want to get on now and you want to be a little bit more aggressive, you can pair them up with over 2.5 goals. That's an attractive +125, which I think is way too big. And then a slight lean as well on both teams to score, yes, because I can see Lille getting on the score sheet here. I see something like a 2-1 or 3-1 Real Madrid.
I also like Real Madrid here, -165 at the minute. So you're probably going to have to go to a handicap to get the odds that you need, really. -1 on the Asian handicap is +102. -0.75 is -130. I think I'd take that 75 handicap because I want some sort of payout if they win by 1 goal, which could be quite Real Madrid-esque at times. I did like, and I still kind of do like him, Jude Bellingham, shot on target at -130 and +240 anytime scorer. But that was on the presumption that Mbappe wouldn't be playing because I think Jude will have a much more offensive role when Mbappe's not on the field. So that is so dependent now on this lineup. If Mbappe is on the bench, and I'm going to get on Bellingham here, And to be honest, if Mbappe came off the field at a certain stage, maybe that in play I'd be looking to get on Bellingham. If you can still do that.
Well, I'm going to put my reputation on the line for whatever that's worth. Mbappe will start from the bench. I'm pretty confident on that. I hadn't looked on the shots on target market, but Bellingham, we saw Bellingham's influence last season when Mbappe wasn't at Madrid. A shot on target, did you say -130? That's outrageous.
-130. I thought it's a silly price. I think Bellingham has a big game here. He's not done much this year yet. He wants to remind people who he is, what he's doing, etc. Get in the mixer for Ballon d'Or talk or what, or that sort of thing. And what better place to do it on the Champions League stage?
With no Mbappe.
Exactly. I'm just looking at some comments now. Liverpool halftime, full-time says, okay, Steve Gregory, we're going to talk about the Bayern game in a minute. I've only conceded 2 shots in their last 2 games with a very low XG. He loves Bayern on the money line. Liverpool winning over 2.5, says Dave Clark. Dan Roebuck, is goal difference a thing this season? Yeah, that is the sort-in rule, Dan. Have you been betting? How did your Champions League go last night, Dan? Hope you had some winners there. Ergo, welcome in. Finally catching a live show. Great to see you. Jason Spurlock says Lille first half draw at +140. Real Madrid and over 1.5. I've got a feeling that a lot of people are going to be betting on this game, Will. This might be the biggest betting heat of the day, and I've got a breakdown for this game. I can tell you now 98% of the tickets are on Real Madrid for this fixture, which is not a surprise. 90% of the over-under money is on the over, which is not a surprise either. There's been a significant bet on Real Madrid draw double chance at -667. 5-figure bet there for Bet Rivers. So let us know what you think. Are Real Madrid going to get the business done here, or are they going to be having a bit of a shocking contest? I'm not entirely sure. Dan says, teams are going to have to keep their foot to the floor. Real and Bayern to win, as simple as that, says Pohena Mechia. Just want to talk about a notable winner yesterday on the sportsbook at Bet Rivers. This is going a little bit off topic, but Bayer Leverkusen won 1-0 for one of the few times under Xabi Alonso's tenure. I think only the 4th time they won a match 1-0 under him. And there was a rare 1-0 result in the baseball in the Orioles game, Orioles versus the Royals. There was a $123,000 winner at -123 on under 7 runs. So that particular bettor has absolutely smashed that bet. Huge bet, and it won convincingly. I think we were talking off air, 50-1 possibly could have been the price for that at under 1.5 runs. Philly guy posted Paredes -1.5 yesterday, which cashed easily. Yeah, there was plenty of money on that game as well. A significant bet on them, Philly guy. But yeah, the baseball obviously is in full swing with the playoffs. So had to put that in as a notable winner. And the 1-0 result reminded me of Leverkusen yesterday. Back to the Champions League, and a massive game to talk about in the Aston Villa game too. But Benfica against Atletico Madrid. I've got this one written down as basically "Stay away, Steve" is my notes for this game, Will. Because I just I like the game. I think it might be a good watch, but I just don't really have a clue who's going to win it, or if it goes over under. And the books here have, Bet Rivers have Benfica at +160. The tie is +220 now. The over under line over 2.5 goals at -112, and the same for the under. And I really can't make up my mind on this game at all. Which I think the big question is, which version of Atletico de Madrid are we going to get in the contest? It's going to be one of the. They've been more overish in the last couple of years in the Champions League, Will. But do you think we're going to see the aggressive side of them or the defensive side? Just gun to your head quickly. Which sort of side? Honestly,
that's the $1 million question, and I can't get inside Simeone's head. But I do really like this game. It's a really interesting one. There's been a big drift on Atleti, actually. Big money for Benfica, which actually aligns with my model rating on this game, because I wanted to back Benfica on the +1/4 line, but it's draw no bet now. So main line is pretty hard to call.
+180 now. +180 now on Real Madrid. Sorry, Atletico Madrid. I'm getting mixed up with my Madrids here. There has been a drift on Atletico today. And the way I see it, I quite like what I'm seeing from Atletico de Madrid. this season. I really do. I think they're playing a lovely balanced game between offense and defense when they need to be. I thought they actually played quite well against Real Madrid. There's some people saying they were lucky to get the draw. I think they were warranted of a point. I really do. I think it was a decent tactical setup from them. They generally restricted them quite well. Harry Doherty says it screams cards for Benfica versus Atletico. I mean, possibly. Cards and Simeone teams do kind of go hand in hand, it must be said. Ergo's bets today: Villa Bayern on the over and Sturm Graz against Club Brugge on the over. Tricky match. You don't have a bet for this game, do you, Will?
I do. I do
have one.
Yeah, I do actually have a bet. It's on the shots on target market again, though. Just in regards to the main factor I see for this game is as you were describing, what mindset is Simeone gonna employ here? Is he gonna be the new transitional Simeone since the World Cup, where he's much more on the front foot and much more concerned about offensive kind of approach and attacking intent, or is he going to revert to type as we saw in the derby? Unders got smashed in there. The market knew that Simeone was going to play quite defensively. And then on the other hand, you've got Benfica, who are generally quite attacking, 4 from the last 4, over 2.5 in the Champions League. So all things considered, the totals are no bet for me, but shots on target market again, and these are prices that have been trading now for days, so they're fairly solid. But why is Antoine Griezmann minus 112 when the Benfica attacking players, Palvidis minus 210, Di Maria minus 180, Atacoglu minus 165, and then you've got Griezmann minus 112? It just makes zero sense. And when you dig into the stats, he averages a massive 1.15 shots on target per 90. So yeah, that is an absolute standout for me, and could be my best bet of the day.
Griezmann. And do you know what? All week, I tell you what, Bet Rivers have been dangling a serious carrot with these shot on target markets. Or, well, not a carrot in my case. I'd rather a juicy steak or something, to be fair. But they really have. And, if you look into these side markets, there is often a bit of value to be had, because the main markets it's difficult with the Champions League. I always find that. Just some comments here. Ashke says, doesn't rate Benfica at all. Atletico should be able to wipe the floor with them. That's quite a strong statement from Ashke. How can Benfica be favourites, says Dan Roebuck. Atleti are value. Really strong there from two comments. Atletico Madrid, Dan and Ashke, bang on the Spaniards for this game. I think it's a tough one. Griezmann shot on target, though, for Will Wright. He likes that. Let's just have a look now at the big game. Aston Villa against Bayern Munich. And I think this is where my best bet of the day has to come. And I'm going, surprise, I'm going into the goal market. Over 3.25 goals on the Asian line at minus 104 with Bet Rivers at the time here. And I just can't see how there's not goals in the game because of the way that Aston Villa play, the way that Bayern are playing right now. Bayern look very, very good under company, but I do think he might be given an interesting tactical test by Unai Emery. I think, Emery beat him twice last year in the Premier League, although it didn't take much doing. I think most managers did the double over Burnley, didn't they? But I do think Emery might pose more of a challenge than people are expecting. Villa here on the actual money line. Let me just find the latest prices actually for Villa on the money line. They are plus 360. So basically from earlier, they have been drifting a little bit. Bayern Munich minus 152 now on the money line. And I think Bayern probably will have enough, just simply because they've got a lot more quality, a lot more class about themselves overall. And you forget managers for a minute. If you've got genuinely world-class plus players at your disposal, they can make a big difference. But Villa have got players in form. Ollie Watkins, I think, is finding something. I did look at him in the to score or assist market for this game. Let me just find my notes for this one. Plus 143. I think if Villa do get on the score sheet, he's probably involved in some sort of capacity. Harry Kane is minus money to score anytime, minus 118, but that doesn't actually look a bad price the way that he's going about it. He's got a good start in the Golden Boot race for the Champions League. He loves to win top goal scorer awards and trophies. The only trophies he's got in his cabinet right now. So he loves to go towards, score goals towards them. Good afternoon, Ray. Good to see you in. Ergo says, Griezmann is referee in that game, averages 4.3 cards. Hands out a red card every third game. That is a lot. of Reds, actually. I've not come across that referee. Maybe I'd recognise him by sight. I'm pretty good with referees, but for some reason that referee doesn't ring a bell. Bayern over 3.5 offsides. Yeah, I mean, we know the high line that Villa will play in this game. How do you see this game going, Will? I mean, the Asian line at the minute is Bayern Munich around about minus 0.75. Do you think that's fair?
Just a bit of breaking news, Steve, on the Girona game. We were talking about Donny van der Beek. He does start against Feyenoord, so that plus 280 is live on Donny van der Beek to have a shot on target.
Breaking news live on
breaking news live on Betting Weekly YouTube. Villa Bayern have been on fire to start the season, really, despite a slight hiccup, I guess, over the weekend against Leverkusen. We've spoken about this so many times before, but their group stage record in the Champions League is outrageous. I think they've won 19 of the last 20, which is just really quite ridiculous. And although Villa were impressive in matchday 1, I think Bayern will be way too strong here. There is a question mark as to Kane's fitness and whether he'll start here. I think he will. And Villa are missing John McGinn, who's their club captain. So a big miss for Villa. I think Bayern minus 3/4 at minus 113 is probably the best way in here. Half win if Bayern win by 1 goal, or 2 or more, you win your full stake. So, yeah, that's my bet, Bayern. I think they're going to be way too strong.
Yeah, I like the overs. You like Bayern here. Just looking through the comments, Betting Gang says Bayern and both teams to score. That's a logical bet. I would kind of agree. I don't think there's going to be clean sheets here. Raymond Reddington, that parlay yesterday, he put up on the comments yesterday at plus 288, came through. Well done, Raymond. Great to see these tickets cash in. Any way you can flash up player names because you're struggling. Well, that's a difficult one with the graphics, J-Rod. Maybe one day we might be able to have someone in the background who can just make something up quickly. But at the minute, that's not possible. Good to see you, J-Rod, anyway. Ashkay, if Emery persists with his stupid high line with Konza and Torres, they will get battered. That's an interesting one. Ashkay's been pretty strong on the comments here. What's your best bet of the day, Ashkay, then? I'm liking his jive here from Ashkay today. He's pretty confident with his how he's seen the games. Bologna should struggle today. We thought that. This is Nigel, I think. How bad is the Austrian league? And has Will adjusted his rating on the Austrian sides in Europe? Does he make Brugge a bet? We are going to talk about that game. In fact, we might as well talk about it now, actually, because we've got 2 more left on the card. And I was going to say this. So, I mean, at the actual, the starting opening price on Club Brugge is plus 163 with some books. They're now minus money to win this game. Yesterday, they were plus 140 to win. How much has the result yesterday actually affected this price? Because RB Salzburg got battered 4-0 at home to Brest. Well, I say battered. I actually thought they were not a 4-0 loser, sort of that bad. But nevertheless, a 4-0 result, people look at that and think the Austrian league's bad. Graz also lost against Brest. I mean, that is a very good question from Nigel. You know, where do you rank this Austrian Bundesliga right now? I mean, how bad are these teams up there?
Yeah, I have downgraded them. I think the move here, though, is mainly based off. First of all, this is not being played at Sturm Graz's home stadium. It's being played at 28 Black Arena, which is the home ground of, I don't know, but some other Austrian team. I believe it must be because Graz's home stadium doesn't meet UEFA regulations. But anyway, that does reduce their home field advantage, which is a significant thing in European football. Home field advantage is huge, and it will be diminished here probably by about half of what it normally would be. I do have a note about the Belgian league. Actually, is one I've always kind of been bullish on. And I think Brugge's 3-0 loss in game week 1 doesn't look so bad now, given what Dortmund did last night. And the underlying data there, they were stronger than a 3-0 loss suggests. At the same time, the Sturm Graz result versus Brest. Sturm Graz played Brest, right, in match day 1? Or am I getting confused?
Yeah, they lost it 2-1.
Yeah, that doesn't look too bad considering what Brest did to Salzburg last night. So, I think there's quite a lot of moving parts here. But ultimately, when I think about this matchup, I just don't believe that Sturm Graz should be a full half a goal underdog at home here. I am high on the Belgian league, and it's just still hard to see Bruges being odds on to win this game. I think they are the better team, but at the same time, I think Sturm Graz might be getting underrated here. So conclusion for me is that I'm leaning Sturm Graz, and if the money continues to come for Bruges, I might pull the trigger at plus money on the plus a half.
I think I'm disappointed, actually, that I didn't get on Club Brugge earlier in the week, because when I was looking at the card on Monday, I was thinking, I like them, draw no bet. You could get them on a draw no bet about minus 120, I think. But for some reason, I was focusing on what matches on Monday, Tuesday. And this one slipped me by. And this reminds me of what I was watching on the dojo with Nigel and Neil on Monday about missing line value early. When do you still bet on them? Do you wait later? And I mean, I'm pretty confident Club Brugge win this game. I've got to be honest. From what I've seen of Sturm Graz, I think Club Brugge get the business done. I don't think they're a great price at minus 104, though. Would I still bet on it? That's the question. That's the $1 million question, isn't it? Would you be willing to bet on something which is not particularly great value or just right on the line or not? And I think that's the question that a lot of people are going to ask themselves for this game. But in terms of the actual predicting the game and how I think it's going to go, I think Club Brugge will win. I was messaging on Twitter the other Bundesliga podcast who I follow for years, and they think the league is struggling at the minute, Austrian Bundesliga. It's not in a great phase. The results have kind of shown that so far. But yes, so I do see an away win. Not a great price, though. I'm hoping they drift towards kickoff. I mean, could that happen, do you think?
Steve, just to counter your point about the Austrian league, Rapid Vienna are currently actually playing in
like
the
them.
League.
Do you know what? Kid you not? I looked at that game today because I saw Rapid Vienna in qualifying, and I loved what I saw from them. But I was put off by backing them today because of how poor the results have been in Europe for the Austrian teams, and they're winning 2-1. But Rapid, could they win the league? Like, seriously, they look better than Salzburg and Graz.
Yeah, I mean, ratings wise, there's still a long way to go. But Başakşehir, like Turkey, is no joke. That is not an easy away trip, and so I think this Austrian kind of league downturn might be getting a bit overblown.
It's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. Final game on the card today. We might be a little bit opposing each other here, potentially. I'm not sure. Dinamo Zagreb, who got absolutely battered 9-2 by Bayern in the opening night. They're now against Monaco, a team that I never do very well on, I must say. I can never read Monaco that well. Dinamo Zagreb, there's been a bit of money for them, plus 410 now on the money line for them. And Monaco minus 167. Over under goal lines around 3. I mean, some might look at Monaco here, minus 167, Will, and think, Dinamo Zagreb got beat 9-2 on the opening day. This is free money. It's like picking up money off the street. How bad are Dinamo Zagreb, I guess, is the question. How big is their home advantage? And can Monaco be trusted?
My first thoughts when I looked at this game is, Monaco have started the season on fire. They were kind of fortunate to beat Barca in match day 1. Barca had an early red there. But should Monaco really be, at the time of I was looking, minus 175 away from home in the Champions League? It's not an easy place to go, Zagreb. And I think it's too short. My second thought was this looks like an overs game. And the 3 line is quite tempting. Although I have since been put off slightly because Steve and I had a chat about this game off air, and he did have a very pertinent point that I actually do believe in. And I think that might be why the line is 3. I'll leave it to Steve to describe exactly what his point is. But, at the end of the day, Monaco games do tend to be absolutely full of goals. And at the same time, I think Dinamo can get on the score sheets. I've got no official bet for the game, but I'm kind of tempted by Dinamo +1 on the Asian and a slight lean as well for over 3 goals. So not enough to pull a trigger, but those are my thoughts.
I've watched quite a lot of Dinamo Zagreb over the last few years, especially in the qualifying and things. And I think they're by far the best team in their region of countries. You want to call it that sort of block zone. What is it? Balkans and, Slovakia, Slovenia sort of area or whatnot. And I think there might have been a little bit of an overreaction after the Bayern result. I mean, I expected Bayern to absolutely trounce them, just the way it is. That's a really tough place to go. They actually showed a bit of fight at the start of the second half to get back into the game. And I can't get involved in the Monaco matches very easily. I just never get them right. But I think my lean here was under 3. And it's because, I mean, maybe this is a bit from Nigel's textbook, where a team that's just been embarrassed, they work on the defence more. The last thing that Dinamo Zagreb want is to, get beat 4 or 5 here and everything. They're a very prideful sort of team. I mean, all teams are prideful, but especially in that part of Europe. And I just wonder if they might be more defensive because of the first game. Even if they don't kind of naturally want to be defensive. So that's why I thought the goal line looked a little bit high. I mean, it's bordered on 3.25 now at -127 for the under. So that's why I did look at the under. I mean, I think you were thinking about Dinamo +1 on the Asian. I mean, this is not Bayern Munich they're playing. This is Monaco. And Monaco, I think Monaco are a very tough side to rank, by the way. Monaco, I think they're really hard.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can get battered by Bayern, right, these days, especially away in the Champions League group stage. The more I think about it, the more I am talking myself into a Dinamo +1 on the Asian bet here. It's certainly a strong lean. And the total still lean over. But the problem is with those two bets is they're kind of juxtaposed to each other, right? Normally, if you're on the dog on the Asian, you tend to fancy the unders as well. So, yeah, they're kind of opposed to each other. But I think Dinamo +1 might be worth pulling the trigger on that. So are you officially on the unders then, Steve, or are you kind of going to give it just a lean?
No, I'm not. It's a lean. Monaco, I was very lucky at the weekend. I included them in part of a double, and they won for me with the last kick of the game. And I think I probably burnt out all my luck on Monaco matches for about a month now. I can never get them right. Whenever I think they're going to do well, they struggle. And when I think they're going to struggle, and I think they'll struggle a bit tonight, by the way. So chalk them up for an easy win, seriously. The way I can never read them very well. They're a very strange side. New manager bounce. New manager for Zagreb. I swear, Dan, they change managers every 6 months. This lot. They win their league regularly, but the manager seems to be changed quite a lot. It's the same in that part of Europe a lot. Shakespeare, great to see you. Detroit Tigers versus Houston Astros over 7.5 runs. That's Shakespeare's play. We were on that under in the Orioles game, the big bet. There. Let's just go through the comments before we finish off here. Yeah, and there was some great knowledge about Sturm Graz Stadium, 2 hours away. Redmond Reddington first half over 1.5 +120. Monaco were fortunate at the weekend, no doubt about that. Both teams to score and under 4.5, says Judge. Let's just call him the Judge. And now I think Intrepid. There you go. Yeah, I couldn't quite read that briefly, but that's it. We're done for the day. Some notable wagers on the soccer. There's been quite a bit of MLS interest. Orlando against Philadelphia over 3.5 goals. 5-figure bet on that. And Columbus Crew against Inter Miami. Another. That's a 4-figure bet over 3.5. I don't know if you're on those overs tonight in MLS, Will, or not, but certainly popular with the bettors here at Bet Rivers. So, yeah, good luck with it. What's the best bet? Before we go, what's your best bet?
I was going to say I think we should do our best bets, because the two that really stand out to me are Antoine Griezmann's shot on target -112 and Dominic Szoboszlai in the Liverpool game +108. So that's Griezmann in the Benfica Atleti game and Szoboszlai for Liverpool in the Liverpool Bologna game. Those two averaging plus 100 basically odds there. You're getting coin flips. So one of them come in, you'll be breaking even. But if two, obviously that's two winners. So those are my two best bets.
My best bet, Aston Villa against Bayern over 3.25 goals. Aske is asking for two teams on the money line. I'm going to be a bit boring here, and I'm going to say Real Madrid, and I'm going to go Club Brugge. I was quite confident they're going to win, right? So that's got to be two teams on the money line for you today.
Real Madrid and Bayern.
Real Madrid and Bayern. There's quite a lot of baseball players being put up here. I know we're in the playoffs now for that. So it's really exciting times. A lot of money coming in for the baseball plays. Good luck, everyone, whatever you're on. Watford are a bet to beat Preston in the EFL tonight. And Sheffield United to beat Swansea, says Nigel, in the Championship. Leeds are playing Sheffield United next, I think, after the international break. So that did catch my eye. But Will, it's been great to have you on. Action-packed show, Champions League, really exciting times. And what's everyone got to do, Will, here that's been watching?
Nice of you.
Give us a reminder.
Nice of you to tee me up, Steve. I made a sign in case we forgot. But unfortunately, my piano background doesn't really appreciate a sign written on a piece of A4 white paper. Everybody's got to like and subscribe, haven't they, really? I mean, it costs nothing, as Neil Channing says, and it really doesn't. So please, guys, if you've enjoyed our content or you enjoy any of the content on Betting Weekly Live, sponsored by Bet Rivers, please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. We're approaching 6,000 subscribers and soon to be the biggest betting content provider on YouTube, hopefully, at least with the live shows.
That was a passionate cry, Will. I tell you what, if I was just watching, I think I would be inclined to do that. That was very well said. Winston Churchill, thanks very much. We're getting some of these brilliant characters, aren't we? Coming on the show, these historical figures. I'm waiting for William the Conqueror next to pop up, or someone like that. Florence Nightingale, where's she today? Thanks, we really appreciate. I'm waffling on here. I've got to get off. But good luck, whatever you're taking tonight. Stay safe and bet responsibly. Tomorrow we've got Europa League and Conference League, and I'm joined by Jack Wright on the show, and then on Friday we've got RJ. So see you tomorrow, Bill.